Welcome back to my Minecraft hardcore world. In the last episode, I built my starter house and set up the basics for survival, but today, we're taking things to the next level. I'll be building a fully functional farm with a windmill, setting up a super smelter for efficient resource processing, and carving out a stone quarry to gather tons of building materials. It's going to be a productive episode, so sit back, relax, and let's get started. I looked for a good spot for my farm and found the perfect place, but before I could start building, the land needed some work. So I grabbed my tools and got to work flattening the terrain, smoothing out the edges, and shaping it into the perfect foundation for my farm. After that, I went out to gather the materials I needed for my farm. I chopped down a lot of trees and had to dig up more cobbled deep slate since I ran out from my last build. Then, I checked my storage for extra materials, only to realize I was out of diorite as well. Luckily, there was a large diorite deposit near my base, so I mined plenty of it to make sure I had enough. Once I had all the materials I needed, I finally started building my farm. I did some light terraforming before working on the windmill. For the third floor, I used a mix of different blocks, and I think it turned out great. But just as I finished the roof, I realized I had forgotten to gather wool for the windmill's sails, and on top of that, I ran out of logs. So, I went out and chopped down a bunch of trees, making sure to gather plenty of wood this time so I wouldn't run out again. With all the materials ready, I got back to building the farm, slowly bringing my idea to life. Piece by piece, the farm started to take shape, turning the empty land into a real, working farm. With that, the farm was finally complete. But of course, I couldn't just leave it like that. I had to make a proper path using coarse dirt and connect it to the rest of my base. I also almost forgot to light up the farm, so I placed torches on top of fence posts with trapdoors, giving them a more decorative look while keeping the area bright and preventing any unwanted visitors. The farm turned out great. Now that it's finished, I think it's time to upgrade my armor and tools to diamond and get them fully enchanted. With better gear, I can gather materials faster and stay safe from mobs while working on future builds. First, I expanded the villager prison, placed some beds, and bred the villagers to increase their numbers. Then, I checked on my iron farm. It was completely full. So, I crafted all the iron into blocks and started trading. I first traded with the Fletcher for emeralds, then used those emeralds to level up the armorer. Unfortunately, I wasn't lucky the armorer didn't trade for iron, so I had to go back to chopping trees and stocking up on emeralds. It didn't take long before I unlocked my first piece of diamond armor, but it was pretty expensive. To keep up with the trades, I chopped down even more trees and kept farming emeralds. Eventually, I traded for diamond leggings and boots, then continued until I reached the master level. Now, I have a full set of diamond armor. The only thing left to get is diamond tools. So, I made a smithing table, hoping the toolsmith would offer me the diamond tools I was still missing. But since all the villagers already had jobs, I had to wait for the baby villagers to grow up. In the meantime, I headed back to my house, grabbed a diamond from my chest, and crafted a diamond sword. Since I had some time to spare, I figured this was the perfect chance to start enchanting my armor and tools while waiting for the new villager to grow. I started by enchanting my leggings since protection was available. It wasn't the best, but it was definitely better than before. Before enchanting anything else, I checked which armor or tools had the best enchantments. If they weren't good, I reset them. When I tried enchanting my helmet, it had respiration, and I hoped for protection as well, but luck wasn't on my side. I kept cycling through enchantments until I saw looting 3 on my sword. This time, I got really lucky. It also came with sharpness 4 and unbreaking 3. After that, I headed back to the village since I ran out of levels. I crafted another fletching table and spent some time chopping trees. By then, the baby villagers had grown up, so I traded with the Fletcher to stack up emeralds and gain experience quickly. I also leveled up a new toolsmith, hoping he would offer me the missing diamond tools. Before long, he finally traded a diamond shovel, leaving only the hoe. Meanwhile, I worked on getting good librarian trades and managed to unlock Sweeping Edge 3, so I traded for that. Not long after, I maxed out the toolsmith, but instead of a diamond hoe, it offered a diamond pickaxe. With my levels back up, I returned to enchanting and upgraded my diamond shovel with better enchantments. Then, I enchanted my chestplate and got protection 4. This time, my top priority was getting fortune 3 for my pickaxe. My first attempt didn't go well. I only got efficiency 4. Once again, I ran out of levels. Since I already had plenty of emeralds, I decided to farm XP from quartz instead of trading with villagers. So I gathered the obsidian I needed for a nether portal. After collecting enough, I chose a spot on the side of a cliff to build it, and even took some time to decorate it. Then, I lit up the portal and stepped inside, hoping for a safe spawn. Luckily, I ended up in a decent spot. No sudden lava pools or angry mobs waiting for me. So, I took my time mining quartz for XP while keeping an eye out for any not-so-friendly creatures lurking around. After mining a whole stack of quartz, I realized this method wasn't as effective as I'd hoped. So, I headed back, grabbed my axe, and went with the more reliable option, chopping down a ton of trees and trading with the Fletcher for XP. When my level reached 30, I enchanted my pickaxe. My first try didn't give me fortune 3, so I removed the enchantment and tried again. This time, it finally showed fortune 3. After that, I traded with the Fletcher to gain more XP and upgraded my pickaxe with fortune 3 and efficiency 4. Now that I have better armor and tools, maybe it's time to head into a cave and mine a ton of ores, especially diamonds. With fortune 3 on my pickaxe, I can get way more from each vein, so this should be a huge upgrade. I was lucky. This cave was massive, and I found tons of diamonds. The mobs weren't much of a threat anymore, thanks to my upgraded gear. After spending around 16 minutes mining, I stumbled upon 2 geodes right next to each other. I could see even more diamonds in the distance, but I decided to stop here and dig my way back up to the surface. I finally made it back to the surface, and luckily, the cave was right below my base. I stored all the ores I had gathered in my chest, then crafted a diamond hoe. On my first enchantment try, I got really lucky. It had fortune 3, efficiency 4, and unbreaking 3. I stepped outside and thought, maybe I should build a super smelter here to speed up smelting. To get started, I went back to my strip mine and gathered a ton of cobbled deep slate since I planned to use a lot of it for my design. After that, I returned to my house and checked my storage. Luckily, I still had plenty of logs. So, I got to work building my super smelter, using only deep slate bricks for the walls and roof to give it a solid, sturdy look. I also chose a smooth curved design for the roof instead of a sharp pointy one, and I have to say, I really like how it turned out. The exterior design was finally done, but now came the hard part. This build was going to cost a lot of materials, especially hoppers, almost a whole stack of them. Luckily, I had built an iron farm early on, so I had plenty of resources. I carefully placed all the necessary components for the super smelter, making sure everything was connected properly. After some final touches, it was fully operational and working perfectly. Now it was time to make a path, but I realized I had run out of oak leaves. To make things worse, the nearest oak trees were past a mountain. So, I collected some saplings and planted them closer to my base, using bone meal to speed up their growth. Once they were fully grown, I grabbed my shears and gathered all the leaves I needed. Now, with enough materials, I could finally build the path and connect it to the rest of my builds. I also made a path leading to the nether portal to tie everything together. I also built a simple pier, creating a nice spot by the water. Then, I made a path and connected it to the rest of my builds. Now, my base is really starting to come together. Maybe it's time for another build, and I think a stone quarry would fit perfectly in this spot. Of course, to build a proper stone quarry, I needed to terraform the land to improve its appearance. So, I checked my storage to see if I had enough materials. Luckily, I had just enough to get started. I began shaping the terrain, extending the cobblestone, andesite, and stone along the cliff to create a more natural and rugged look, ensuring the landscape blended seamlessly with the environment. Then, I dug a circular pit, 12 blocks deep, carving out the shape of the quarry. To make it look more authentic, I replaced the grass with stone and extended the stone around the edges, making the area feel like a naturally formed quarry. I also blended in patches of andesite and scattered some ores throughout the area to add more detail, giving it a rich, resource-filled appearance. Next, I built a staircase around the pit using andesite slabs, creating a structured yet natural-looking pathway. To enhance the worn and weathered look, I strategically placed slabs and stairs in a way that created an uneven, eroded effect. This made the quarry feel more rugged and natural, as if it had been actively mined over time. Next, I built a wooden crane-like structure to make the quarry feel more functional, as if it were actively being used to haul materials. I used logs for sturdy support beams, fences for added detail, and a pulley system made of fences to complete the look. At the end of the rope, I placed slabs and trapdoors to serve as a platform for holding materials, making it look like the ores and stones were being lifted from the quarry, and just like that, the quarry was finally complete. I really liked how it turned out. To make the most of it, I started a strip mine directly below, digging a 3-block wide tunnel all the way down to Y level -59 for efficient diamond mining. After reaching the bottom, I returned to the surface and built a proper path leading to the quarry, seamlessly connecting it to the rest of my base. That wraps up episode 2. We made some great progress, starting with the farm, making sure we have a steady supply of resources. Then, I upgraded my gear with fully enchanted diamond armor and tools, getting stronger for future challenges. The super smelter is now up and running, making resource processing much faster. And finally, we completed the quarry, adding a functional and detailed mining area to the base. Everything is really coming together. If you enjoyed the episode, don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in episode 3.